Aloha and welcome to Marriage on the Spot. We're your co-hosts, Kent and Elizabeth Kitagawa, and as you can see, we are also
In the same boat,
right.
We-
we are in lockdown also at home from our little home mini studio here.
yes.
So
So
and
we are doing marriage on the spot, but we call the show um, on grace,
Shelter
sheltering
in
grace.
yeah,
We shelter in place, but we hope it is also sheltering in grace.
and we and this is and that's the thing right now. We understand the stress. I think that families are going through. Many couples are going through. Just dealing with loss of employment, dealing with the loss of freedom, the restrictions that we have.
The income which was missing the last 2-3
Yes.
months.
Right. And so, how do we deal with these kinds of stressors? It's important that we learn how to shelter in grace
Yes.
and to have grace. And first off, we need to have grace with ourselves. We have to look at, how do we take care of our own emotional health and take control of our emotional health.
Our well-being
Yes,
and
our
to
sense of-
stay sane
Right.
in this time. And
Yeah, and these are things we have to look at. How, because it's so important in this time that we become more aware of what's going on internally.
yes,
You
it's the self-talk. What do we say to ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
Am I a loser? Am I a
Well,
whatever?
it's-
Sometimes, oh, I can't do that. If I would have had the other job, maybe I would still have a job. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I could have done that. Should I? Would I? And
Yes,
all
and it's
those
the what ifs,
questions,
right?
what ifs come
Yeah.
up.
And these are the things that we have to be aware, that one, we are not responsible for what happens here
Well, not with the COVID.
with the COVID.
But we are responsible how we react,
Right.
how we take it out on others sometimes, or how we are working together. And we want to talk about that, especially how are we 24/7 in the same house. Now, on one side, we have it maybe easier than our daughter with 4 little kids and have school and was
Yes.
going through all other things. On the other side, she had a variation at home of problems, and we just have us as a problem. But luckily, we usually pretty goofy and
Yeah. And that's, I think that highlights one thing, is being able to find common interests, find a common project to work on. And that's one thing we can do to help ease that stress of being together 24/7, to make it actually enjoyable.
yeah,
Is to have fun together.
to have fun.
Find fun things to do together. Be it doing crossword puzzles,
Puzzle, yeah.
but
Some people
jigsaw puzzles.
I
That's
heard that
you know.
from someone. They
Yeah.
do jigsaw puzzle. As soon they finish with the 2,000 or whatever pieces, they're going to start all over again.
Yeah,
The
I
same.
think he-
They only have one big thing, but they're working every time. Every time they walk by, they look for another couple of pieces and see whether they can beat the time or the days it takes for them to finish that. And we did a lot of podcasts and further training in counseling and psychology and stuff like this. And
And there's a plethora, a lot of different opportunities online to learn things. So it could be something like taking up a new hobby, learning how to cook, for example, cook certain dishes, or learning a new language, even.
Yeah,
You
they
know?
have that babbling or
Yeah,
whatever. I
yeah,
don't know whether it
Babbel,
works, but we heard about it.
The Rosetta Stone, I think, also is another online, language. So
Yeah.
these are opportunities we can take to find things to enrich our lives and enrich our relationships.
Yeah,
today.
maybe you're one of those who learned how to make face masks. If so, thank you very much for making face masks. We got some face masks made by our
Daughter.
our daughter and son-in-law,
Yeah.
and we appreciate both of
Yeah.
them did
Yeah.
made their own, and
Yeah. And they made some for us. We were kind of the guinea pigs for
we
that.
were the guinea pigs of all the grandkids' pajamas and pajama buttons and whatever.
And old underwear.
From the kids' karate
Yeah.
outfit had to give in. And so
Yeah.
we thank you for those who volunteer to help other people and maybe cook or shop for elderly or people who just couldn't go to the store. We appreciate that very much. And those,
Yeah, and that's a great way also, is to find projects like that, where we can do like Aloha Kapuna Care, or,
Yeah.
or, working with the food bank, and volunteerism, working even as a family,
Yeah.
and doing things like this is a way of enriching, our time together,
And it gives a self-fulfillment for those who
Right.
volunteer too. We hear that often with people who are retired. Yeah, what should I do now the whole day or so? And we encourage them to look maybe in a hospital or wherever it is, Another one is going to sing from room to room, sing music or play piano for a group. And
From
I
the
used to-
outside.
yeah, I used to in an old folks' home
Yeah.
a couple times a year play out there, and that helps us to have also a better self-talk, the feeling I'm not that worthless right now sitting at home. I can do something, and we
Right.
want to encourage you and maybe as a couple to do something together
Right.
for someone else.
And one of the things too, just on some of the things we need to work on or be careful of, I guess, besides our self-talk, is what are the things that maybe from our past, because as we get stressed, a lot of times those things that we've, maybe picked up along the way from our past, from our childhood, from, growing up in high school and those things, we get hurts, we get things that we carry into our adult years.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful in this kind of environment, especially, those things will start rising to the surface
Yeah.
again.
We heard about one lady who got bullied a lot when she was a child and in school and on the way to school. And she said in this time, somehow all those memories came up when she got bullied, like COVID-19 is another one who bullies her.
Yeah.
And it was
Right.
interesting to
Yeah, and she started feeling these feelings, the feelings of she found herself feeling depressed,
depressed and angry.
fearful, angry, and and then she started taking it out on her husband and on her family, and without realizing that this irritability that she was feeling was actually coming from
way
these
back
way
there.
back
She's
there.
now in the 40s or 50s.
Yeah,
So it was 30 years ago she got bullied a lot.
yeah,
And every so often she remembers certain things. But now in that time where she has a lot of time at hand to be at home alone, or with her husband. I can't remember whether both of them are
Both
home
of
or
them,
not.
I think.
Yeah.
But
So
it was
that
just
shows
being
up
in
more
that,
often.
being restricted and having that, you know, that
Mhm.
sense of, you know, of depression and,
Mhm.
you know, feeling anxious and
Mhm.
brought up all these old feelings,
Mhm.
you know, and so being aware of our past and how the past can intrude and hijack our present,
Yeah.
you know. So we, you know, and sometimes we may need to seek some help,
Mhm.
you know. And the good news is, you know, there's a lot of counseling, you know, professional therapists who are doing things right now, you know,
Online.
online.
Yes.
Teletherapy is thriving right now
Mhm.
because there are so many people who are experiencing fear, anxiety, you know, and stress, and finding that these things are affecting them negatively.
Yeah.
So that's a good way of dealing with it. But even
Mhm.
just talking with your spouse
Mm.
about this, talking about it, being vulnerable, learning to express these feelings will help to bring clarity and to bring healing.
Yeah, and along with that, we also have to learn how to listen to each other,
Right.
especially when your spouse wants to share, not to tune them out, but to listen, listen with your mind, but also listen with your heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's important. It's the listening part, you know, because a lot of times, you know, you know, and I say for the guys especially, for men, because we're not used to dealing with uh, those kinds of feelings, those kinds of emotions, right? And so a lot of times we're fearful of that, you know, and we just want to try to fix things somehow. You know, we want to, you know, tell our spouse, well, if you would do this, or you should just forget it, or you should just, you know, try to do something else, you know, and distract yourself. Well, that doesn't work for women, and it doesn't work to help bring that healing. What helps is to listen and to be that active listening
Yeah,
ear.
you can even tell them, the way I understand, you said this and this and this. Now, how did you feel when number 2 or number 3 or number 4 now happened? I didn't quite understand it. Start talking about it so that they feel heard and that they feel free to share even more, that you listen, that they have someone, even if it's not a professional counselor, that they have someone they can share whom they're honestly interested in your life.
And it helps draw that person's heart to you, you know, rather than pushing them away and feeling another rejection. See,
Yeah.
and this is important. We want to find ways to, you know, pull together and find unity, and that active listening, just listening, reflecting back the person. I hear you saying you felt this way, like you said, you know, and and even maybe taking it a step further and maybe sharing a time maybe you felt that same kind of feeling, you know, and that will bring so much more common, and that will bring the healing,
Yeah.
because that, you know, when we're suffering, a lot of times when we suffer from those kinds of feelings, it's that sense of isolation, a sense of being alone.
Yes.
That's
Left alone.
right, you know, and that's what brings on that sadness, overwhelm, you know, that what we call overwhelm,
Yeah.
and we feel, you know, neglected and abandoned.
Now, we learned a lot about sharing our feeling. We learned a lot about that also on Marriage Encounter. And I just thought I can throw that in now. Eventually, hopefully, we can do weekends again, or we can do some special courses in marriage and in relationship and in communication, where we can share how to learn to communicate. And I say many times to couple or to ladies I meet with, look at the feeling words in a feeling list. Now we have all those emoticons. Even on Facebook, you have all those emoticons. Look at them and see, how do you really feel? Can you pick out one of those faces or emotions and share about that emotions?
Right. Something that really that resonates with
Yeah.
you know, what you're feeling, you know, and those are good, that's a good resource right
Yeah.
there. Just Facebook,
And maybe we can ask our spouse, did you ever feel like this little emoticon? And maybe they want to share something, the anger or the disappointment or the frustrated or the bullied, the afraid, or whatever it is.
fear,
The fear, yeah.
fear and being helpless, And a lot of times it's those kinds of feelings, especially if we've experienced these when we're very young, and so it gets stuck in our what we call the emotional brain, the survival brain. It's not the conscious level. It as we grow older, then we get to develop that higher memories and higher functioning. But at the emotional level, which is where we really live, which really makes us unique as human beings, as individuals, it's those kinds of hurts get stuck there. And a lot of times these are the things
They
that
come
come
up
out
the weirdest times.
right, come out the weirdest times and under stress,
Yeah,
under duress.
it can be a song, it can be a food you smell or whatever, and all of a sudden it triggers something, and
Yes, and the trigger, brings back those feelings.
those memories.
Yeah. And for the feelings that are associated with the memories, those are the things that a lot of times will cause us to overreact to things, small triggers in the present. Your spouse may say something, just jokingly, and it'll just boom, it'll just cause this trigger, and you start raging at them, or a certain situation comes up with the kids, they're not listening, and boom, you're in this anger state, and afterwards you kind of think, well, where did that come from?
Yeah,
Well, a lot of that comes from those past.
way past. So it's important that you get healed from the past. Eventually go and seek help, seek counsel, talk to someone who can help you on. And like we said before, we hopefully have in end of September maybe a marriage encounter, Aloha United Marriage Encounter. The website would be www.unitedmarriage.org, and you can get information there. Right now everything is up in the air, as we know. So, yeah.
And the other thing is, cultivating your self-care. And by that I mean on every level, your physical, emotional, we've been talking about the emotional,
Yeah.
and even the spiritual levels, as a spiritual being, doing those things that will help you to feel more hope, feel more peace, feeling more complete, and so that could be, and this is an excellent time to maybe start, devotions and
Journal.
and journaling.
I hear that a lot now, much more than before, that journaling really does help to bring your emotions on paper, and it helps a lot for them to reread it afterwards and say, hey, maybe a week later you read it and say, I did make progress since then.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mhm.
might want to journal.
Right. And it makes things more meaningful when you do write it down, or
Mhm.
see it in black and white.
Mhm.
And music,
Mhm.
listening to worship music. There's a
Yeah.
lot of worship music online,
Mhm.
uplifting music,
Yeah.
things that will help you to, feel, that sense of connectedness with your, in a spiritual level.
Mhm.
And so, working on that self-care, physical, don't neglect, don't be sitting on doing binge watching Netflix and, you know, and eating potato chips and, all the snacks and everything, and expect you're going to, because really that is, that will bring down your mood. That will affect your sense of well-being,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, you
Being,
went bike riding a few times.
yeah,
That's
if it
during
just,
the week. That was
yeah,
unusual.
yeah, and just 20 minutes, half an hour, a day, to go for a walk out in the beautiful sunshine right now,
Mhm.
when they have
Now, since
nice
we
weather.
allowed now again,
Yes,
yeah.
and just
Mhm.
taking a walk and changing the venue, and making sure that you are caring for yourself physically, eating well, eating healthy stuff,
Mhm.
you know, getting enough sleep, 7 to 8 hours.
I'm
Seven,
working on that.
yeah, I know we are.
I still get up at 5:30 in the morning, and there's really no
Right.
need.
Yeah,
But
but it's doing the self-care, especially in this time, because it's easy to think, oh well, I've got, all this time, and I, you know just kind of fill it with whatever,
Mhm.
you know and it really, we do even more have to be intentional about caring for
Yeah.
ourselves, so that we are in our, feeling,
Mhm.
and when time comes, and we are, able to go out more, then we're not suddenly finding ourselves, you know too we gain like
Oh,
15 pounds or something like that, of
yeah.
COVID snacking,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we learned not to buy those snacks. Kent is
Yeah.
good. The first 4 weeks, you're the only one who went shopping, and you bought healthy food, the healthy
Yeah.
things. So,
Yeah.
so
So we need to be able to just just like we're being aware of our self-talk, we have to be aware of our behaviors,
health.
and our health, and keeping ourselves in good physical shape, because it's all, it's all wrapped up.
Waiting for the pool to open.
Yeah.
Okay. We love you, folks, and we hope and pray that COVID is going by soon and for good and ever.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and be sure to take the precautions, wash your hands often, as we, as
yes.
they, you know um, but do those things that will help you to thrive, help you to actually perhaps even grow together, you know in your family, to become healthy, and to grow closer together during this time. It's an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Like the thing, right? The crisis, right? The Chinese character for crisis. They
Oh,
say
yeah,
it's,
what is
it's
it?
made up of two characters. And one
Jeez.
means obstacles, and the other one is opportunity.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two characters put together, obstacles and opportunities. So, during this crisis, we can make this an opportunity for growth. Okay. So God bless,
God
you.
bless you.
And
Thank you for tuning in
yes,
to
and
Marriage on the Spot.
Mhm.